Hi, welcome to a Curated Life podcast. I'm Katerina, and I am very excited today because one of my besties, Kelly, is here all the way from Florida.
Yes, hello. I'm excited to be here and nervous and all the things.
Kelly's nervous, but she had a very good attitude about coming on the podcast. I asked her and was like really hoping she knew she didn't have to do it because I don't see Kelly all the time. Like if Kelly lived in Richmond, I would have already forced her multiple times to do the podcast and it would have been a forcing. But because she's from St. Augustine and I only see her once every now and then, I'm not gonna make her do it on like the one night that we get to be together. But
Yes.
I was like, will you?
Yes. And I was happy to say yes.
Thank you.
I've listened to almost all of your podcasts.
So
I'm
that's
a fan.
really
I'm
sweet.
happy to be here. I feel
Thank
very, very lucky to be here.
She's an official A Curated Life listener.
Yes, I am.
And Kelly and I have been in each other's lives for a very long time.
Yes.
She was my sister's high school best friend.
Yes. At a school of 8 kids. Well, not 8 kids total in the school.
To clarify.
But 8 kids in our class, graduating class. Yes.
So small school, and they were besties. And like, of course, anyone who Amanda loves, I'm gonna love them by proxy.
Yes.
But we're like actual
We always
friends.
looked up to Kat.
That's
we always
sweet.
came over and we would ask her questions about boys and all the things.
Older sister stuff.
Older sister stuff for sure.
Well,
How to do our makeup. You've done my makeup many times. I never understood how to do my makeup. You helped me understand makeup more. Yes,
Thank you.
All the things.
I used to be more of that person. One day maybe I'll be that person
You
again.
still are that person. Your makeup always looks good.
Thank you. I feel like I've been doing it the same way for a really long time. Well, I would guess why fix what isn't broken.
Yeah.
I am ready for some more Botox though when I'm done breastfeeding.
I've been actually thinking about doing Botox.
I actually was thinking earlier how smooth your forehead looks.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I
that
think it
makes me
looks
so
really
happy that you
good.
said that. That makes me so happy. Someone told me that you had to wait till you're 30. Or
No.
you should wait till you're 30.
No,
No?
you can get preventative. They just put a little bit in there.
Yeah?
So it's preventative.
Did you do the crow's feet?
I did all of it.
That
Did
was
all
mine.
in here, all in here. And it just snatches your face just a little.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so nice. Like, I think you're beautiful, and I was thinking about how smooth your skin
Oh
looks.
my gosh, that makes me
It really
so
does
happy
look
that
good.
you said that. Yes.
So you're good. But you can also get preventative Botox so you don't get the lines.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I need needles in my life. It's time. My kids are sucking the youth out of my face.
Yes.
So yeah, I used to do Kelly's makeup and talk with her and Amanda about boys and stuff. But now, over a decade later, we're mom friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've been friends since then,
Mm-hmm.
but we're besties. And
Via Polo.
via the Polo app. There's an app called Marco Polo. And
It will change your life if you have friends long distance.
You need it if you have long distance friends. So I only use it for 3 people, and they're all my long distance besties. So there's Kelly, who lives in St. Augustine, Tatum, who lives in Chesapeake, and Amanda, who's now in Okinawa.
Yes. Boo.
Boo
You're
hiss.
listening.
Boo hiss. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's absolutely, you record a video of yourself talking, and then when that person has time to listen to it, they can listen and then respond. So it's not like Snapchat, because you can listen to it as many times as you want.
Yeah.
Fast forward, rewind
It's very amazing how long you can talk
by yourself.
by yourself. Like, I think I've sent polos that were at a good 20 minutes long to you guys
for sure
before.
have.
Possibly longer.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's amazing how long you can talk to yourself. But there's so much to update when you're long distance.
Right.
Because, like, it's been a
It's
whole
not like
week.
you're talking
There's
every
so
day.
many things that have happened.
Yeah, no, and then you can go on. And then, like, I'll listen to it while I'm getting ready in the morning or taking a shower or driving somewhere. I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And that way when I see Kelly, I feel, I don't know, I don't feel like it's been so many months.
No.
Like, I miss you, but
you know what's happening.
Yes.
You know our life.
yeah, I'm not
and I know your
totally
life.
out of touch.
Yeah.
Because you can't just keep up to date with someone on Instagram or Facebook and really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because that's just the highlight reel.
Yeah.
So
For
that's a great tip. if you have long distance friends, you
get
need
on the
Marco Polo.
Yep, get on Marco Polo.
That's
today.
Life changing.
Yes.
Immediately.
Not sponsored by Marco Polo.
Yeah,
but
we should be, but we're not.
yes.
We are the poster children for why you need it.
Yes. Especially for moms, because like moms are so busy and
I would say even if you're not long distance friends, but if you're just a mother who has mom friends who you never get to talk to.
Yeah.
I have someone coming to mind just now. She literally lives like 4 minutes from here and I never see her.
Mm-hmm.
And she has kids and like her situation is really tricky and she doesn't have a lot of free time. Like I don't have a lot of free time.
Yeah.
I should probably polo her.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
That was a good idea.
It's so hard when your kids are so, like when you have little kids, especially when, I feel like when your kids get older, they're in more sports and you probably make friends with a lot of their friends or their
I think
their
also
parents.
they might go to play with their friends or people are more willing to watch them.
Yeah.
I sometimes find myself every now and then I start to panic a little bit, like I'm never gonna have freedom again. I start to feel like, oh my gosh, like it's always gonna be like this and I'm never gonna have freedom and I'm never gonna get to just relax. And I'm like, okay, take a deep breath, calm down.
Yeah.
That's not true. This is a season. It's a long season.
Yeah. 0 to 5 is a very difficult season. I feel like I have a 4 and a 5-year-old, she's almost 6. And I feel like when my youngest turned 4, it was like a big turning point of like, wow, we're really like out of toddler and out of baby and we're coming into something different. And it felt like a big switch over to like, our life is slightly coming back now. Not fully, it's not full raging.
Getting there.
But it's getting there, yeah, for sure. But when they're so little, it's so hard.
Oh, it's so hard. And I think that's a lot of what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about motherhood and the journey and like having kids, the good and the bad, and how we feel like it's changed us as people. I would say that something that I think is really special about Kelly and I's relationship is that our motherhood journeys have been so different.
Yeah.
And they are still extremely different.
Yeah.
So like,
but we both have so much respect for each other.
And that's the part that I think is really special is like our motherhood journeys are so totally different, but I think both of us have respected each other and have so much respect for each other and admire what the other person is doing.
Yeah.
And I wish we could all be like that.
Yeah. I feel like it's so easy sometimes for moms to fall into the trap of like, I have to be friends with mom friends who do everything the way that I do or are doing exactly the thing that I'm doing in motherhood. And I feel like that is it just like limits you so much from really good friendships with people who do things differently. And you learn so much from people that do things differently or are going through things or experiencing things that are different from you to make you grow and be better as a person yourself, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. And there's something that feels like you feel so supported when someone whose journey does look different from yours has respect for it.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
I do feel like that's been a big thing. Like, I feel like you've always been really supportive of me I stay home and I homeschool my kids. And you're like a boss mom that works and does amazing things in real estate and has a million income streams and rocks it with your kids and all these different things. But yet, and sometimes I've always felt like, oh, I just feel like I'm home with my kids or I'm just homeschooling my kids.
And I feel like Kelly is superwoman
and
homeschooling these kids. I'm like, how? That's amazing to me. I feel like I could rule the world and still be like, I don't think I could. I can't. That's so much.
Yeah. Well, and I feel the same way about you, but opposite. I'm like, I don't know how she does her work and her kids and balances it all and all of that. And I think, it's been really nice to have a working mom tell a stay-at-home mom, wow, you're doing a good job.
You're doing the thing.
Because I think sometimes stay-at-home moms can feel not seen by working moms or vice versa. And I feel like that is a really beautiful thing and I feel like that's actually kind of a rare thing, a rare friendship thing.
I think you're totally right. And I think there tends to be like a little bit of judgment and or, like you said, feeling unseen by the other side because both of us are working very hard.
Yes.
and we're both doing things that are worthwhile and important, but we're just doing them very differently and very different things. And so like I send my kids to Montessori school, and then I try and like structure my work around their schedule. You create a schedule for your kids and you homeschool them, and you're in charge of all of that. And to me, that feels like so daunting. It's so important and incredible that you're tackling that and doing that. And I think being able to appreciate that someone else's journey can look so differently from yours, and still, just because it's different doesn't mean that that person thinks you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it's less valuable or that your journey is less valuable.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, just because you might not have a financial income at the moment doesn't mean what you're doing is less valuable. And just because I'm not spending all day with my kids doesn't mean what I'm doing is less valuable.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, and I feel like that's a way that stay-at-home moms and working moms need to be better at championing each other, because we do need each other to remind each other, oh no, what you're doing is actually really valuable, and vice versa, no, what you're doing is really valuable too. Because I think that if we just stay in our little bubbles of like stay-at-home moms or only working moms, we're missing that other half, you know?
For sure. So that's something I think is kind of unique about our friendship. Besides the fact that we've known each other for so long and we're still really good friends, even though we don't live in the same city, and we're moms who are doing things very differently. And our motherhood journeys have looked very differently in general. And you kind of said it earlier, your two girls are very close in age.
Yes.
They're like, I mean, how many months apart are they?
16 and a half.
16 and a half, guys. Super close. Which, Kyla and Dem are pretty close. They're not as close. They're like a little over a year and a half apart.
Yeah. That's still close.
It's so close. I say all the time.
Looking back,
you're like, what the hell?
You told me, and I use this quote all the time, I'm glad that I did it. I love it. I would never do it.
I was
again.
about to say that.
That's like that sums it up so perfectly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it back, but I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so much. I'm so glad that Salem is 2.5 years younger than Demi, because I could not have done the 1.5 years apart again.
There's definitely a pro to spreading them out a little bit.
I get that now.
I get it now. Yeah, at the time I was like, let's just go for it. It'll be fine. And now I'm like, wow, what was I thinking?
Oh yeah. Well, because you've won, you're like, they're so magical, and then you have a second, and you're like, what have I done?
What have I done? Yeah, exactly.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Which is part of what I want to talk about too, is having kids is a huge thing. It's a life-altering thing. Like, it's never the same again once you have a child. And I was actually meditating on this today while I was scooping dog poop. So it's like very timely that we ended up doing this tonight, because I was thinking about this, and I love your take on it. But I was thinking about how in motherhood, I think there's this journey where you have a child and it changes everything. And you're so engulfed by it, and it just consumes you. Motherhood, parenthood just consumes you and is everything, and it's demanding, and you give and give and give and give and give, and it demands more of you than you even knew that you were capable of giving. And you have to grow as a person to even be able to give the amount that is being asked of you. So I feel like there's this season when you start having kids, there's this season of change and evolution where you're becoming more as a person in order to fill this role that now asks so much of you. And then I feel like you enter another season later on where you start, so it's almost like the Grinch whose heart has to grow to handle the amount of love.
That's a really good analogy, actually.
Like, I am the Grinch.
Yeah, I am the Grinch. Yeah.
So you you grow as a person in your ability to love these children, and you do it in sacrifice to them. And then one day you love them so much that you realize that you must become the person that you want them to be able to look up to and to become one day. And so your love for them first is so great so that you can sacrifice for them. And then your love for them grows even greater, and you realize that you also have to live for yourself for these babies. And ultimately, I've realized that I would not be capable of loving myself the way that I do now if it weren't for them. Like, even that, the selfishness that I have come back to is for my children. What are your thoughts on that? That was what I was thinking about while I was scooping dog poop today.
On you realizing that you have to become who you want your kids to look up to.
Because my love for them has gotten to that place.
Yeah.
Like, it started out in sacrifice.
Yeah.
And then coming back to myself for them.
Yeah. I feel like for me, I had kids really young and we didn't plan our first. She was a surprise. So
we love surprises around here.
Yes, she was a surprise. So I think for me, I felt I felt jolted into everything really quickly, and then I felt like I was trying to catch up for a while. And
it's like drowning.
Drowning. That's the best way to put it, is you just feel like you're drowning for a while, especially when you have two so close together. And then,
I heard this great analogy that's like, it's like you're drowning and then someone throws you a baby.
Yes, 1,000,000%, yes. And everyone's just watching like, you got it, right? Like, you got this.
Look, she's treading water just fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's totally fine.
Yeah, but I think I came to realize, I think your kids, as they get older and they start asking you questions and they start having big feelings about things, you know, as 2 and 3-year-olds tend to do, you realize the triggers in you that are coming out, and it forces you to look at yourself and realize, oh, like, there's some things in here that need fixing. And like, I feel like for me, it made me realize, if I don't fix these things, my kids are gonna suffer. And so I want to fix these things for them, but also in turn, it ended up being a good thing for me. Like you were saying, like you would have never become the person you have become unless you had your kids to push you to that point, because it does push you so far past what you even could comprehend. Like, I had no idea that all these things were triggering to me until I had my kids, and you're like, I love these kids more than life itself. I would die for my kids. They're amazing. And then the smallest thing, like, really upsets you, and you're like, why does that upset me so much? And then you dig into it and you're like, oh,
I've got some stuff here.
I've got some stuff here that we need to chat about in therapy for sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have brought it up on the podcast before, but I have this very vivid memory back in 2021, being in the backyard playing with my kids, and I realized all of a sudden that I was not delighting in my children. And I looked at them and I was like, and they're wonderful. And they were so damn cute at this age. And it was like, they're amazing. And I could not get joy from it. And I realized that, like, I was in a situation where the life was being sucked out of me and I was not okay.
Yeah.
And it really was like, I have to fix this.
Yeah.
Because, like, they deserve better.
Yeah.
And it would be a tragedy to let this time pass.
Yeah.
And not be okay for all of it.
Yeah. Well, and I do think there's a stigma with moms, especially with social media, of romanticizing motherhood, and that we should constantly feel super connected to our kids and always know what to do and always know exactly what to say in every moment and have the right answers because we've read the right books and, you know, we're the best mom and all these things. And the reality is, like, that's not life and that's not reality. Like, there are hard and messy things that we come to realize through our kids because we are flawed ourselves. And I think that's the beauty that sometimes our kids can give us, is realizing that we are flawed and allowing us to work on that for them and for ourselves.
Oh, I like that, Kelly.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And it is for them. And in that, in turn, you learn, you do things for yourself, and you fix things within yourself, and you face things within yourself that you probably wouldn't have the courage to face.
Yeah.
And I've said it before on the podcast, I'm sure you've heard me say it before, and you kind of mentioned that, like, we would die for our children, we would do anything for them, but would you live for them?
Yeah.
And at some point you love them so much that you would.
Yeah.
And so you choose to face these things and to work on yourself and do things for yourself because of them, for many reasons, because they deserve to have a mother who is whole and who is present and who can delight in them, and who loves her life and therefore can give them a certain kind of love and joy. And also, I think we want certain things for our children. Like, I think we want them to grow up to be women who are, for us specifically, they're girls, but it could also be boys. We want our children specifically are girls that will likely grow up to be women, who I think we would want them to have, like, these whole and purposeful lives and to be living intentionally, and we can't expect them to be able to do that if we are not modeling it for them.
And even the expectation of not expect, like, if we expect ourselves to be perfect, that's also going to be cast on our kids in some way. And realizing I'm allowed to not be perfect, and they are allowed to not be perfect, and we're allowed to all work on this together, you know?
I like that. And recognizing your imperfection in front of them.
Yeah.
I apologize to my kids.
Oh, all day.
Sure. All day. All the time.
All the time. Yeah.
I said the other day, I was like, it had been a lot. Okay. A lot. And it was bath time. And I was like, I need everyone to get in the tub. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
I'm feeling overwhelmed. It was this whole conversation. But I think I'm like, I don't necessarily know what's right or wrong, but I feel like right now it's okay to admit that I am feeling this way and I'm having a hard time.
Yeah.
And I would like to not freak out tonight.
Yeah. And I think it's so helpful to say out loud to your kids, like, Mom's having a hard time right now. It needs a minute, and I'll be back in a few minutes.
Yes, give me some space.
Yeah, and making it known to everyone, like, everyone needs some time. Like, it's okay to take a break if we're feeling overwhelmed. You know,
Absolutely.
We don't have to just plug through and try and make it work when we're feeling totally overwhelmed.
Right, or like set this precedent, like, everyone needs to be perfect all the time, and I never have negative emotions, and I never struggle. Like, that's not helpful.
No.
Because they're gonna have negative emotions, they're going to struggle.
Yeah.
And we don't want our kids to believe that means there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Because there isn't.
No.
You're just human.
Yeah. You're allowed to be human.
You're allowed to be human.
You're allowed to be human.
That's what we're doing here.
Yes.
So on another topic having to do with that, I have had people before ask me what my thought is. They'll be like, oh, people are pressuring me to have kids. What do you think? And I'm like, what a heavy question. And I've told people before, I think if you really want to be a parent and you have a desire to, absolutely do it.
Yeah.
If you don't do that.
Yeah.
And what do you think, like, parenthood has given you, has taken away, or, like, what is your opinion if somebody says something like that to you?
I think
I know it's a loaded question.
that is a really loaded question. If they asked me if they should have kids, if they want kids, or my experience with it.
Okay, let's do a two-parter. So the first one is, like, people who are like, I'm not sure but people are pressuring me to have kids. What should I do?
Gosh, that would just be so personal.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I would have to ask them more questions, you know, if...
Which is why I've always said, if you really want it,
right,
do it. But if you just feel pressured to and you don't really want to, then
if you're just doing it to people please, absolutely not.
No.
Don't just have them because people are telling you to
it's
have
extremely hard.
Yeah.
It's not even like getting a dog.
Yeah.
A dog's not going to be around for the rest of your life.
No, yeah, for sure. And I think speaking from someone that had a child when we weren't expecting to have a child, I do definitely see a benefit in, like, you know, being prepared to have the child, like not having just this big life thing thrown at you, you know? But also, I can't imagine my life without my oldest in my life. Like, she brought so much joy and changed our life, and life will never be the same without her. So, like, I can't imagine that surprise never having happened. So I'm super thankful for that. But yeah, I would definitely say to someone, like, don't just people please and have the kid just because people are telling you to have a kid. If you want to have a kid, that's a different story. But if people are just like, have kids, don't just do it for them. Yeah,
that's so much work. So, and then, I mean, you touched on it a little bit. Like, what do you think motherhood has given you, taken away from you?
Given me everything so much. I don't think, someone told me, you know, people always give you advice right before you have kids, and all
so
the
much
things,
advice.
Some of it's good, some of it's not good, some of it's mediocre. And someone told me before we had kids that it's the best, hardest, most challenging, most beautiful thing you've ever done. And I feel like that has become true as we've had kids and they've gotten older. But I feel like I think at the time we had kids really young. So I was 21 when I got pregnant. We were 22 when I had my first. I was 23 when I had my second. And I think so many people that I knew that were my age were in a different stage of life. And so I felt very, and people were very shocked that we had kids so young. So I think I felt very, just out of the box. Like I wasn't doing what everybody else was doing. And so I think, I felt like maybe I was not doing the right thing, but I think I felt very out of the box at that point.
Filling the mold that you were supposed to fill.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think there was that aspect of it, and definitely it takes away a lot of your freedom of
so much freedom,
so many things, so much freedom gone to do anything for such a long time. But I think what it's given me is that besides the fact of just having my two girls, I think personally what it's done is I think I have a lot more grace for people than before. I think it's made me realize how much we all need grace in our life, and how much more capacity for love that I have than I thought that I had. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like it takes away so much freedom. I mean, all of it.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. But especially in those first 2 years.
Gosh, it's so high demand. It's like I said, consuming. It consumes you.
Yeah.
But I would agree. Like what it gives, it is everything. Like they are. I mean, my girls are my sun and my moon and my stars. Like, it's just, it's so hard to explain that kind of love. And it's a love that comes from being sacrificial.
Yeah.
and pouring into a tiny human that can't do anything for themselves. And it's the most incredible experience becoming a parent. It is hard. It's the hard, I mean, and it's so funny. I've done so many hard things.
Yeah.
And before I had kids, like, I worked like 12-hour days every day. Like, it was nothing to me.
Yeah.
And then I had a baby and I was like, oh my, this is hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
It's just so demanding. Like, it's 24 hours. It never stops. And you know, I think before you have kids, you're always like, my kid would never, you know, my kid would never. And then you have a kid and then they do all of those things and then some.
And they add a little on top. Yeah, my kids are disrespectful as hell. It is a lot around here.
And I think it makes you just realize, like, that you're not in control of everything, and that it's okay to not be in control of everything, if that makes sense. Like, you can't control everything that happens to your child at all times, and
you can't control them.
Yeah, exactly. And the best thing we can do is love them and guide them and be a safe space for them. And I think that's what we all want anyways, right? Like, and I think that's what I've realized in general is, like, we all just want connection and love, whether it's a friend or a spouse or your child. Like, we all as humans just crave wanting to be seen, wanting to be known, wanting to be loved regardless of the situation. And I think my kids definitely taught me that, of you're not in control, and the best gift that you can give to them is to just be there and be present no matter what.
Yes.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. And like, even no advice, like, sometimes no advice is like the most important. Sometimes I feel like, especially, and I feel like you learn this when they're I like learn this when they're toddlers, of like, sometimes you're like trying to reason with them and you're like, I don't understand, your cheese stick just fell on the floor and now you're like losing it. And like, half of the time, if you just go, come here, and like you give them a big hug and you just hold them and you say, no, it's hard,
just show compassion,
and they just melt. And it's, I mean, I'm not saying it's like that every time, but I'm saying a lot of times that's all we all want, and that's all we all want to be seen and heard for.
And I think it goes back to that standard of perfection we have for ourselves and our kids too, is it does teach you, like, you aren't perfect, your kid's not going to be perfect, just be there for it and it's fine.
Yeah.
And it is about, like, the love and the compassion, the understanding. I know Kyla, my first, has big feelings. She is a high feeling, I don't even remember the terms for it. She's an empath.
I was gonna say, isn't it empath?
She's an empath, okay? Yeah. Major.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me. It's really hard. And I read this thing once, or I saw a thing, I don't even remember if I was listening or reading, and it was like, these kids, these empaths, they just need to feel like you see their pain.
Yeah.
And so I've really tried, like, if she falls and gets hurt, if something happens, I mean, because she will take it to level 10, and she takes it there so well.
Yeah.
But starting, instead of to be like rolling my eyes, like, that barely touched you, like, calm down, or like nothing happened that was a big deal, being super compassionate to her, and then she's okay, because you're right, like, she just wants to be seen and feel like you understand, or like recognize what she's feeling.
Yeah.
And then she's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, my second is my big feeler. They're both big feelers, but my second is definitely like Kyla, with just very big feelings and very, very strong-willed and wanting to do it herself, which is so wonderful. And there's it can be challenging with kids that feel so deeply and that are so strong-willed, but there's so many amazing things that come out from those kids, and I feel like a lot of times, especially with my youngest is very, like I said, strong-willed, strong-headed. She'll tell me no to my face. She'll definitely, she'll speak her mind and not be afraid of it. And I think being able to have the eyes to see your child for who they are wanting to become through what they're showing you, and not being able to see past, the 2-year-old that's, maybe what some people would say is like talking disrespectfully, but what you can also see it as is a little kid that knows what they want, who's grounded in what they want, and able to say no. And all of those are really good qualities. Yes, we need to work on saying it a little more respectfully, definitely,
the tone
and
could
being able to negotiate better and get those things through, but also not squashing their spirit to just get them to quote unquote not be disrespectful.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a lot of times it's not disrespect. A lot of times it's just they're kids,
right?
And they don't know. They don't know any
They're
better.
kids. They have opinions. They have feelings, and they're just trying to communicate that.
Yeah.
And they don't have good impulse control.
No.
They're brand new. I try to remind myself all the time because sometimes, especially when they're like clever little kids, they seem like they're so smart and so capable. And so we forget they've only been on this earth for a few years. They are brand new here.
Yeah.
It's brand new.
Yeah.
So they're doing really well.
Like your car could have been here on this earth longer than they have.
Oh, mine has.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Trying to keep that.
Both of my cars
have
been here longer, and they're pretty new.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah, that's crazy. But they're new here. And they're trying their best.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And like my second one will try to throw down like my first, and she can't quite get there. And my second one's actually my feral child. Like that's the one who's gonna like jump off a roof one day and break her leg. It's just, that's Demi. But you could see like she'll try with like the emotions and the attitude to like, she plays with it and tries to get there, but she can't quite.
Yeah.
Can't quite throw down. I'm just hoping the Salem is chill. We'll see. Like maybe
throw another one in the bunch that's really, really emotional.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
On that one.
Yeah.
So, okay, along the same lines of motherhood, parenthood, becoming a parent in this journey.
Yes.
That you've been on. What other ways, or what's like a message you would have to moms out there? I know that's a loaded question also. I
think one thing that I heard recently was it applies to many things, but Rome wasn't built in a day. I think sometimes in parenting we feel like if we see a behavior that we want to, help guide, let's say that, we feel like we have to fix it right then and have the fix for it, and the kid should never do that again. Or just feeling like we have to have the right answer or the right whatever immediately. And the truth is, all of these things are more is caught than taught. So you can talk a lot to your child, but what you actually do all the time is what they're going to catch and hold on to more than what you say to them. So watching what you're not necessarily teaching, but what they're catching from how you live your everyday.
Seeing what they're picking up.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that.
And taking care of yourself as a mom too. I didn't do that for a long time.
Oh, that's so hard.
But also I say that, and I don't actually know how practically that plays out all the time. So, but try and take care of yourself as best you can.
I mean, oh gosh, much. The self-care thing is like, that's so hard.
Yeah.
I think you have to schedule it and you have to be so intentional.
Yeah.
I started getting my nails done again, which felt like this huge task to accomplish.
Yeah.
But it just means so much to me
Yeah.
to have my nails. Like for me, it's like makes me feel like I have it together. So I've been doing it, but it has to be scheduled, and it's like this whole thing, and it's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
To do anything for yourself. It's so complicated.
I think just putting it on the schedule. I think that's a good way to say it. Is just schedule it.
Your self-care.
Yeah, even if, because I started doing massages like 6 months ago,
smart.
and that literally made me such a better mom. Just having a massage once a month, where I would go get a massage and then I would go have lunch by myself because I'm an introvert.
Alone.
So I loved that. Yeah, and then I would come home and I would feel so much better. And it was just one time a month, and it would make a huge difference.
It really does. And I had a hard time, like after I had Kyla, I didn't do anything like that for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then when I started doing things like that, I did realize that I am a better mom when I have breaks, when I have time that is just for me, and then I can come back and be so intentional and so engaged.
Yeah.
But you can't be when you have to be engaged all of the time.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah. One thing that was helpful to me, I used to try and push through and just, I wouldn't schedule self-care, but I also wouldn't take breaks when they were younger and growing up, and I feel like I've learned to start taking breaks, whether that's like going on a drive or whatever. And now, like, my husband's really good. He'll come home and he'll be like, you need to leave, like, right
break
now.
For you.
Yeah, break for you, tap out. And so I'll go on a drive and I'll come back and definitely be like, I definitely need that. But sometimes you have to, I'm trying to get better at realizing, yes, I need a break. It's okay to take a break. And actually following through on that, because sometimes we can feel like there's so many things that I could be doing in this time where I'm taking a break.
It is okay to rest.
Yeah, it's okay to rest. Yeah, and not trying to just fill it with, oh, I could do dishes, or I could, get this done or that done, or I could prep something for tomorrow. There's always going to be something for a mom. There will always
be 1,000 things to do.
Yeah, there will always be something for you to do.
And then you also talked about like the example we're setting. I've been thinking about that with my tone, like the way that I talk to my kids, because sometimes they talk to each other and I'm like, yo, like chill out. Why are you talking to your sister like that? And then I'm like, sometimes when I'm being stern, do I talk like that?
Oh yeah.
And maybe that's where they get this tone with each other.
Oh yeah.
Oops.
Oh yeah. That's the worst, when you hear it and you're like, that was me.
Like
that's 100% me.
It came out of my mouth first.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the way that they talk to each other. Yeah, that definitely comes out. And then, yeah, the self-reflection comes back and you're like, oh, wow. Yeah.
And then I like how you brought up the Rome wasn't built in a day thing. There was this one period where Kyla was being so mean. And she can get in there with your feelings. And my mom came to me and was like, I'm a little worried that Kyla's going to be an asshole. And I was like, just give me a minute. Because she would have these extreme moments of like big feelings. Yeah. She would say awful things to people. And like, you can't talk to a toddler in that moment. They're not home. Like nobody's home. They're seeing red.
Yeah.
You have to talk to them later in calm and a safe space about how they're supposed to deal with that. And it took a minute, but eventually we got there.
Yeah.
But it's a process. And like, I think a lot of us were brought up in parenting situations where it was like, blind obedience is the key. And it's like, really, I think what we're trying to focus on is developing these people, like you were saying, like guiding them through this stuff so that they're actually learning how to deal with their feelings and become better humans for the right reasons is much more important than the way they appear in that moment.
Yeah. I heard someone say brain development over obedience.
Oh,
and I feel like that is so true and something that we strive to do. We don't do it perfectly, but yeah, it's hard when you see, or other people tell you, oh wow, I see this in your kid, or I see that in your kid, and or you see it in your own kid, and you can get worried and like you like lose sleep over it, and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong as a mom? Should I be doing something else? What should I be doing? And sometimes it really is just a phase that they go through, or they're growing, or whatever. I mean, and there was an instance when my youngest, she went through probably like a year, like her 3-year-old year, where I was like, I have nothing. I don't know what to do at this point. I feel like I've read all the books and I've done all the things, and we're still here. And I don't understand. I feel like it goes back to like, we just have to be there and be present and be showing up and doing our best, and overall just arms wide open, and I'm here when you need me. And that's all you can really do, because every kid, I mean, is going to take things differently anyways, and it's all of it's trial and error with each kid anyways. What works with my oldest doesn't work with my youngest, and they're so different, and trying to cater to that as well in the same house is a challenge.
Yeah, because they're unique.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to talk about is, and I'm sure you've experienced this, so you have kids, and then people go like, you just wait till these kids are older. You just wait till they're teenagers. You just wait till they're walking around. And I hate that.
This is my biggest pet peeve.
Oh, I'm so glad.
This is my biggest pet peeve with people.
It's my least favorite.
Yes.
So I'm like, you're looking at a mom who hasn't slept in months or whatever.
Yep.
And you're like, it's just gonna be harder. And like, first of all, no, it's not. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, when I haven't slept, everything is hard.
Yeah.
Everything is heavy.
Yeah.
I hurt on the inside. So like, you can't look at a newborn mom and say things like that. But what I tell people is like, I'm like, how is it? You okay? And then like, I feel like time passes, because it's so hard when you have newborns and tiny humans, and you're like, every day is a damn disaster. Like, it's just chaos all the time.
Yeah.
But eventually, after a new one is born, this has happened 3 times now, eventually a day comes where you're like, you know what? I handled that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at that. That's
I did
been
it.
okay. Yeah, so what's your thoughts on that?
On
Well, first of all,
people saying
that crap advice, that crap thing that people say.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that.
It's awful.
I call BS on the whole, oh, just wait until your kids are older. I can tell you, my kids are now 4 and 5, almost 6, and I have so much more fun with them now than I did when they were babies. Not that I didn't have fun with them then, but you also can't, I can have conversations and really get to know my kids now at this age that you can't do when they're babies. And you can do so much more. Like this week, we're going to water country with our kids, and we're gonna ride water slides together. And like, you can't do that with a baby.
Yeah. This morning I woke up and was like, hey, you want to go to the park? Get dressed.
Yeah.
You can't do that with a baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Just experiencing like regular life with them as they get older is so much fun. So I don't understand where that comes from certain people of saying, oh, just wait till they get older, because I've found as they get older, it gets more and more enjoyable because they become more like little tiny humans and people, and you can, do more of life together with them.
And I'm sure some people like adore the newborn stage more than I do.
Yeah.
But it's still so physically demanding.
It is.
Whereas like, as they become more independent, it's a little less of a burden.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I didn't love the baby stage. It was not my favorite.
Yeah, like right now, Salem's starting to cry. She's 7 months old. Homegirl wakes up 3 times a night, like minimum.
I feel like some people deal with no sleep. I know that you're tired, but I feel like you definitely deal with no sleep better than I deal with no sleep. Because I do
think some people are better than others at it.
Yeah. Like, I am genuinely not fun to be around.
And
I don't have sleep.
I feel like I can be pleasant. I am a moron. Like, I am so dumb, and I know this. Like, my brain does not function well, but I think I give good functioning person.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Thank you.
I could never tell that.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
But people say stuff to me, I'm like, I know you're not going to believe me. I'm an idiot right now. Like, can't remember anything. I don't retain information or memories.
No, I could not see that at all. I feel like you're very together. I feel like when I have no sleep, I can't even put a sentence together. Like, I have nothing for you. Even today,
So hard.
my 4-year-old woke up because she was a little sick a night ago, and I'm still recovering from that. And I couldn't remember 3 times what I was trying to tell you over in the corner.
It just took
over there. I was like, how has this happened 3 times in a row about the same topic?
Lack of sleep is torture.
The same topic.
We got there
3 times in a row.
We got there
in 20 minutes. I forgot what I was saying.
It just took a minute.
Oh my goodness.
But it is. I'm like, she's 7 months old. I haven't had decent sleep since way before she was born, and so I'm just like, I'm an idiot. I know I'm dumb. Like, I am, and I don't retain information, and I'm barely making memories.
Yeah.
Like, it's never harder.
But it does come back. And I feel like that's something that no one told me, that I wish someone told me, is like, it does, like, you will sleep the whole night again one day, and it will come back.
It will be okay.
And we'll be okay. But right now, it's okay that it's hard, and you're allowed to complain that you have not slept.
It is hard.
You have permission to complain if you have not slept. It's okay.
I agree. That's the worst. It's torture.
Yes, 1,000,000%.
Gosh. Any other last minute thoughts, Kelly? Now that Salem's decided that we're done, at least she waited.
She did.
We got like a full podcast in there.
Look at that.
Now I'm gonna have to like pee and breastfeed.
Yeah.
Which is most of my life. It's like constantly, like every outfit I have, I'm like, can I pull my boobs out though? That's every outfit.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
This was really exciting for me. I was very excited when Kelly said she would be on the podcast.
Yes, I was very nervous. Feel free to edit whatever you need
No,
to out
that was
of this.
perfect. That's how we do it. And I really do like that we get it all in one take, and it's just like real, authentic conversation.
Yeah.
I wish that people knew that, like, I'm not BSing when, like, my besties come over and we talk. This is how the conversation is. Like, we just sat down before the podcast for a long time.
And could have done another podcast.
That could have been, if we were willing to be that vulnerable on the podcast, like, that would have been multiple podcasts. Yes. There was a lot of stuff that was discussed before the actual podcast that was even more raw than the podcast.
Yes.
And that's something I've had to learn over time, is like being vulnerable and real with the people that you love and the people who love you creates better intimacy.
Yeah.
And if those people are deserving of that, then it's a richer relationship, and also like better for you.
Yeah.
Because we need to process and discuss these things.
Yeah. You have to be honest about what you're going through.
Mm-hmm. And then we know that we're not alone.
Yeah.
Like, you're not the only person who, like, it's like, oh gosh.
And motherhood, it's so easy to feel like we can't be honest about it, because
well, it's supposed to be magic all the time.
Yeah.
And we're all supposed to be perfect.
75% of the time, it is really hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 25% magic.
Yes.
25% bodily fluids.
Yes. Yes. But yes, thank you for having me on. This was fun.
No, thank you, Kelly. And Kelly follows me on Instagram if you want to look her up and follow her. Sometimes she posts stuff about her homeschooling, and they live in St. Augustine, so they have fun adventures down there. And my Instagram is Katerina Real Estate Broker. What's yours, Kelly?
The Padilla family.
The Padilla family.
Yeah.
It's with a P.
Yes.
The P. Just like search the PA and then let Instagram do the rest if you're looking under my followers. Yes. But thank you. This was great. And hopefully Kelly will come back on the podcast one day. And thank you to everyone who listens and contributes and has conversations with us about what you hear here. You are very appreciated.